Footsteps in the dark. When I was about 4 or 5 years old, my parents had recently separated. My mom had moved us into a small 2-bedroom apartment. It wasn't anything fancy, but it was cozy enough for just the two of us. I had my own room, though most nights I chose to sleep in my mom's bed. It made me feel safe, especially during that time of transition. Our 2 bedrooms were at the end of a narrow hallway, directly across from one another. I remember it was the middle of summer. The air was thick and heavy, and my mom had the window in her room open to let in a breeze. The window was positioned just above the headboard of her bed, with a screen to keep out bugs. One night I woke up suddenly, though I wasn't sure why. The room was quiet, except for the faint sounds of the night outside. As I sat up, I noticed our cat sitting in the doorway of my mom's room. It struck me as odd because he usually slept curled up with us on the bed. He was completely still, staring into my bedroom across the hall. Then, without a sound, he stood and walked into my room, letting out a single, low meow. Something about it made me feel uneasy. I turned to wake up my mom. It only took a few seconds, 3 or 4 at most, for her to groggily ask me what was wrong. But when we both looked back toward the doorway, there was a man standing there. He was just there, right in the doorway of my bedroom, stepping out into the hall as if he had just been inside. Time seemed to slow down, but my mom didn't hesitate for a second. In one swift motion, she scooped me up, turned toward the window behind the bed, and shoved it open. Before I could even process what was happening, she had pushed me through the screen and onto the grass outside. It was only a 3-foot drop to the ground, but I still remember the jarring feeling of landing in the cool, damp grass. Seconds later, my mom climbed out after me. She grabbed my hand, and we started screaming as loudly as we could, running toward the parking lot. Our commotion must have woken someone up because, not long after, the police arrived. When they searched the apartment, there was no sign of forced entry. The front door was unlocked, but my mom insisted she had locked it before we went to bed. Deadbolt, chain, everything. The police could only assume the man had somehow exited through the front door after we fled. For days after, my mom couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. She double-checked the locks every night and kept a close eye on me whenever we were home. About a week later, she was cleaning in the kitchen and opened the small closet where the water heater was. Inside, she found a notebook, a pair of gloves, and some gum wrappers. The notebook was the strangest thing. It had names scrawled inside, along with odd little drawings. My mom froze. She called the police immediately, and when they came back to investigate, they could only confirm her worst fear. It was likely the man had been hiding in the apartment all along, waiting until we were asleep. Even now, the thought gives me chills. I'll never forget the image of him standing in the doorway, or the sound of our cat's meow in the stillness of the night. But most of all, I'll never forget how my mom's quick thinking saved us both from whatever might have happened if we'd stayed inside.